In this topic, we shall study about reproduction. That means the reproductive system of various organisms and various methods of reproduction. But first of all, let us try to understand what is the meaning of the word reproduction. If you know a little bit of English, then reproduction, it's a combination of two different words. When the new organisms are produced from the existing organisms of the same species, obviously, then that process is called as reproduction. Remember, that is an extremely important feature of all the living organisms. Only living organisms can reproduce. That means it's an important feature of living organism. Why do you think that reproduction is necessary? That means what are the importances of reproduction? Number one, that every living organism, you know that it has got a specific lifespan. That means they possess a particular lifespan. After that, they die. But before that, what happens? That these organisms need to reproduce, produce new offspring so that their progeny can continue. And therefore, they reproduce, and therefore, these offsprings, by the process of reproduction, continue the chain. That means continue the progeny of the given species. Not only that, through reproduction, more members of each species are produced. And the continuity of the life becomes safe. That means this living organism, a particular species, does not become what you call it as does not cease to exist. And therefore, they keep on continuing their progeny. Reproduction is extremely obligatory, compulsory, for the existence of each and every species against death. If reproduction does not take place, then a particular kind of species will cease to survive, and that particular species will come to an end on this particular earth. That is why reproduction is necessary. What is the reason of similarities of the same species? You know that. You pick up any particular species. For example, a family of lion. Then all the lions look alike, isn't it? Even the lioness, they have some similar characteristics. All the dogs have similar characteristics. Even the human beings, they have similar characteristics. Why? Why is it so? That is mainly because of that the organisms of a particular species, pick up any of the species, say human beings, they produce new human beings. That means they reproduce human beings through the process of reproduction. Now, during the process of reproduction, whatever the new species, new organisms have developed, these organisms show similarity, not only with each other, but with their parents also. Remember, you must be like your father or your mother, or probably a mixture of both of them. That is mainly because there is a similarity between a given offspring and its parents. And not only that, you must be like your brothers or sisters, or else with your cousins. If you are all the way alone, then the cousins. You have so many biological characteristics which are similar. That is also because that of the same species, so many similarities can be obtained. Especially the organisms of the same species, they have a perfect, very well-defined body design. See, two limbs, two eyes, one centrally located nose, one lap saying mouth, and so many characteristics are very common because they have common blueprints of the body design. See, all the human beings have these characteristics. Yes, exceptions to the rules are there, but then also for a given species, most of them are very much similar to each other. In the process of reproduction, the new copies are produced. That means a new photocopy of a particular paper is produced. Now that photocopy might look very similar to the original one, but there is a slight difference. And that is produced due to the coding of this particular blueprint. That means in the process of reproduction also, the new copies are produced through the process of coding of the blueprint. That means whatever is the blueprint of the parents, same should be the blueprint of their offsprings. The hereditary characters are transferred from the parents. That means you might be tall, short, fair, dark, those biological characteristics must be similar to that of your parents. So these hereditary characters from parents travel to generation. It occurs through the process called as hereditary, and that is done in chromosomes. That means the chromosomes are responsible for transfer of such hereditary characters. And where do you think these chromosomes are located? In the nucleus of the cell. And you know that they are more visible at the time of cell division, isn't it? And this information of hereditary, that is stored in DNA, deoxyribonucleic acid. In DNA, this information of hereditary is being stored. DNA is located on chromosomes, you know that. So the information of DNA, whatever the protein is present for the synthesis of the different proteins, that means lots of more proteins are being produced. Characters are formed to the type of proteins which is synthesized in the given cell. Whatever the newer proteins are produced, you might be similar to that of your father or your mother, but you're not exactly photocopy of your father or of your mother, isn't it? That is mainly because of the formation of the various types of proteins during the synthesis in the cell. Individuals of one species have a specific DNA, and according to that DNA, whatever the coding is being done in that DNA, only that type of protein information of protein synthesis would take place. That is why the individuals of the single species show similarity among themselves. Cellular reproduction. The reproduction, you know that it's a main event to prepare the new copies of the given cell. That means new cells are produced. In cell reproduction, two daughter cells are produced from a given parent cell. That means a particular given parent cell divides into two daughter cells. That is a process known as mitosis that you study in higher standard in detail. The formation of new cell begins with the replication of DNA of that particular parent cell. Through DNA replication, whatever the hereditary information has to be transferred from first generation to the second generation. The cells of the two DNA groups, one from the father's side, one from the other side. These two DNA groups are produced and they are distributed in those two daughter cells. At the end, the two daughter cells obviously would be produced. But the similarity between these two daughter cells, on what factors does it depend? It depends on how accurately the sequence of that DNA information has been copied. If it is not very accurately copied, there will be some difference. There is difference between those two daughter cells. But if it is almost similar, then the two daughter cells produced will also be almost similar to each other in their DNA structure. But sometimes errors do occur, and in biology that happens very casually. At the time of preparation of DNA, if these errors occur, it results into what? Changes in the characters. That means, see, as I told you, you are not photocopy of any of your parents. That is mainly because there is a change in the characteristics in the preparation of DNA, and that is why the change in the characteristics took place. But if these changes are not compatible to the cellular system, then ultimately the cell dies. The cell dies if the change in the characteristics is not compatible to that particular cell. That means if the genetic mutation is extremely high, the cell will cease to survive. But if they are compatible, if that is compatible to the cellular system, then after a long time, slowly and gradually, it will result into evolution. We shall discuss about evolution in the next topic in detail. It's a slow process of selection of specific changes that occurs in years and years of evolutionary changes take place. That is the slow process. We shall discuss about this slow process of evolution in the next topic. Importance of variation. You know that the population of organism in niche, that is in ecosystem, is reproduced. Obviously, then and then only life would survive, isn't it? Otherwise it ceases to exist. But during this reproduction, consistency of DNA copying is extremely important for the maintaining the body design. The body color might be slightly different, but the body basic design, the skeletal structure, the whatever the basic necessities of that particular body of a given species, all that body design should be similar to that of that particular species of a particular species with respect to their parents. So the reproduction process is linked to the stability of population of especially the given species. But niche can change. Changes are not under the control of the organisms. So many changes take place. Even if I don't like, say, hot season, then also hot season is going to be there, isn't it? Even if I don't like rainy season, then also it's going to be changed. It is that change is going to take place. That is not in the control of the organism. Such changes which are not in the control of the organisms, like temperature of the earth will change, variation in water levels, effect of meteorite hits on the surface of the earth, and any other kind of imbalance in the environment. Such changes that take place, and the population of reproductive organisms suited to the niche, and if there was a drastic change, the population would be wiped out. Remember, the dinosaurs could not survive. That is mainly because they could not cope up with the drastic change that took place during that particular time period. And so the whole population got wiped out, isn't it? Thanks. We don't have population of dinosaurs at present day, isn't it? But a very few individuals of that particular population, if some variations have developed, then there would be chances of survival of those of that particular kind of species. Supposing of the given population of, say, mosquitoes, which are being killed by spraying some insecticide. Say on a sample of 1 lakh mosquitoes, some insecticide is sprayed. But there must be some tough ones, isn't it? Out of those 1 lakh, approximately 5 or 10 might have survived. Then their body will develop that change. And after certain generations, we will have a generation of mosquitoes which will not have any effect of the given insecticide. So, there are chances to survive. A population of bacteria living in water with a moderate temperature. That example we can give. Global warming takes place. Water temperature increases. Many bacteria die. A few would survive, isn't it? And this survivor bacteria would develop a new characteristic. That is, temperature resistant characteristics would be developed. So, variation is useful for the survival of the species. How many types of reproductions are there? Basically, when we consider reproduction, we classify as asexual reproduction and sexual reproduction. A single individual is involved in asexual reproduction, where a certain body part forms a new individual of the same kind. Then that would be considered as an asexual method of reproduction. Whereas in sexual reproduction, two gametes of opposite sex, opposite gender, one male, one female, will fuse to form a fertilized egg. One word of that is zygote, and that develops into a new individual. So, only one individual in case of asexual reproduction, whereas two types of gametes in sexual reproduction. The sex of the organism, no importance in this, as far as the reproductive process is due to a particular part of the body. Whereas in case of sexual reproduction, organisms involved either are bisexual, that means both same organism possessing male characteristics also and female characteristics also, or else two individuals of opposite sex, one individual containing male characteristics, another individual containing the female characteristic, like in human beings. In asexual method of reproduction, new organisms have characters almost exactly same as that of the parent organism, without any change in the hereditary characters. But in case of sexual reproduction, that is not true. The new individual follows the laws of inheritance that we'll study in the next topic, which differs from obviously the parent organisms. Asexual reproduction will take place with or without watery medium. So watery medium is not a necessity in asexual reproduction, which is a necessity in the method of sexual reproduction. With changing environment, there is it is not sufficient to sustain life because the characteristics are not changed. As whatever the characteristics, exactly similar is the characteristics of the offsprings. But in case of sexual reproduction, with changing in the environment, sexual reproduction is extremely essential to sustain life. New variations are produced. They can survive in extreme conditions also, and that is why sexual reproduction is very important as far as the variations are concerned.